The most ludicrous beat. Yo Gerbizzle, check out my sick tunes. Alrighty. Ooh, okay. Alright, wait, look. Gerby. Let me make something clear. Everybody needs to know. Everybody needs to hear that biracial flow. I am not the Lumineers. I don't say hey to these hoes. You think I'm playing around? I'ma turn him to a ghost. I'ma spin that block. I'ma let that blow. I be snorting all this blow. I be smoking all this crack. I be studing all this meth. Yeah. I am such a bad. I am going. Shabba Google like a goop. Shabba loop, shabba da goop. Skibbity hoop, mibbity. Woo. Golly, man. Holy Toledo, my bars are simply ridiculous. Actually, redonkulous. Alright. I know why you're here. So you want to stop touching your little worm, huh? You're tired of constantly just jacking off. Is that what it is? Is that what you're here for? No shame in it. Daddy found the answers. You don't have to worry anymore. You know, struggling not to touch your own worm. Every day saying this is my last time after you beat off to some cartoons, God forbid. It ends now, you son of a bitch. Here's what you do. Here's the real easy peasy method. You gotta just hit your dick with a mallet. Basically put your worm on like a granite counter, grab a hammer and the easy peasy way. There's like this audio book that I forgot how I heard about it, but it's this thing. You know, everybody says you got to try the easy peasy way. It's this audio book. It has the answers, and I listened to it, and it worked. But it's so convoluted and annoying, that book, even though the information is good. So I thought I'd take it upon myself. I took all the notes. I have all the prevalent points in that book, and I'm just going to deliver them to you right now in a concise, easy to digest, straight to the point manner. And I'm probably going to cut this video up, unlike a lot of other Void videos, just to really keep that consolidation going. If you're not already convinced that you should stop battering your little meat, then this isn't the video for you. I have other videos like that. I'm not going to try to convince anyone if they don't believe that whacking off is a bad thing, or they're coping, they don't think they're addicted. That's not what the point of this is. Go ahead. Keep on whacking it. See if I care. This is for those who want to change. So I'm basically just going to give you the easy peasy method. Hopefully this short video will tell you everything you need to know, because the book is so convoluted and repeats so many things. But I'll still link it in case you want to listen to the whole thing. I'm not going to be able to cover all of the prevalent information, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to hit all the main points that should allow you to quit. The easy peasy method, like the actual thing, is something the author introduces or gives to you more than halfway through the book. And there's reason for this, but I want to switch it around. I'm going to give you the easy peasy method right now. And when you hear this, you might feel a little, you might be a little iffy on the whole thing, but it'll work out. All right. So basically the easy peasy method, this is directly from the book, is number one, you have to make the decision concretely that you will quit. And number two, don't mope about it, be happy about it, rejoice. Now, you might feel weird about this because this, making the objective decision you're going to quit is something you probably have already tried. Like, maybe multiple times. I know I have. You have to really decide you want to quit forever, but as is outlined in the book, the reason why this might not have worked in the past is because you didn't undo certain brainwashing that you have, and you didn't attain certain pieces of information that make quitting way easier. In the words of the author, it says, once you understand addiction and the true reasons why you continue, you will stop just like that. And by understanding the addiction, I don't just mean all of the chemical science that I and many other people have talked about, the hyperfrontality, reduction in gray matter in your reward circuitry, desensitization. All those things are true, but we're talking about things that are more like practical and like paradigm shifts in the way you think. So the normal method of quitting is called the discipline method, where basically, and I'm guilty of this in my videos, you outline that the downsides of adult content very much outweigh the upsides. And then you basically say you have to be disciplined, you have to stop, and the longer you stop, the easier it is to quit forever and walk away. And this method has worked for some people, but it's worked in spite of this method and not really because of it. Because the truth is that quitting this addiction should not really require much willpower at all. It's actually very easy to quit, enjoyable to quit. You shouldn't really be gritting your teeth. All you have to do is remove the brainwashing, reframe how you think about these things, decide you want to quit, and that's pretty much it. It's that easy. And by the time you really hear and understand what's actually going on, get rid of this brainwashing, you won't even want to beat off anymore. You won't really feel this intense desire that you have to fight against tooth and nail and eventually fail. So here's one of these shifts. Remember the first time that you ever stumbled across or sought out an adult content site, the first time you interfaced with it and you engaged in the process of whacking off. Was it enjoyable? Because if you really remember your first time, it wasn't enjoyable. Your first time seeing all these things, it was kind of gross and not really exciting. This is, first of all, I guess because a lot of the girls in those videos aren't even that hot, but mainly because your brain isn't wired ordinarily to immediately enjoy and get pleasure out of watching a video of two other people boning. It's, unless you have some sort of like psychological damage, it's not something that's going to be like immediately attractive and addictive to you. And that's kind of why the addiction gets so many people, is because at first it doesn't seem super potent. But once you get it and once you install these neural pathways, that's where you fall into the trap. My first time, I remember like just being not at all impressed with what I saw on the site. So I like went and looked up top 10 hottest stars or something like that. I actually did that because like none of these hoes impressed daddy, to be honest with you. Another one of these brainwashings that you have to expel from your dumbass mind is that nutting is like the most important thing in the world. That intercourse is the most important thing in the world. This is something that's kind of been taught to us through culture from a young age, but it's just not true. You don't need to nut. And also this whole thing where the less you nut, the more horned up you get until, you're just a full-balled maniac. It's not true. It gets easier the less you do it. You don't get more, like, horned up and uncontrollable. That's not what happens. That only might happen because, like, that's what your brain thinks is happening and you're psyching yourself up. Like, I haven't nutted in 40 days. I'm, like, super pent up. In reality, that's not true at all, but you might like psych yourself out and be like, all right, 40 days, don't think of boobs, and then you start thinking of boobs, and then you fuck yourself up. But that's just not the case. You don't need to nut at all, and there won't really be any negative or like freakish behavioral side effects that come with that. You'll kind of just be a guy that doesn't nut. So it's important to understand that adult content isn't actually enjoyable. The only reason you feel like you get any enjoyment or pleasure out of it is because it returns you to a baseline that you had before you even started watching it in the first place. The author compares it to wearing a tight shoe and then feeling good when you take the tight shoe off. So what this means is that the hub gives us absolutely nothing, not even really momentary pleasure. And this is important to understand because although we know the advantages outweigh the disadvantages, we believe that there's something we actually enjoy about it, or that it gives us a crutch to get through stressful situations. But this is just not the case. Something the author repeatedly says is that if you were to ask the adult content addict if he could go back in time to his first few times whacking off and not do it, he would gladly make that decision. But that's a decision you could make now. So the author outlines 3 steps of how to make quitting easy. And these are, number 1, understand that there is actually nothing to give up at all. The word giving up is the wrong word. It's more like quitting or like escaping, because as outlined previously, you get nothing out of this. The second is know just one peak. So in no circumstance you're just like, oh, I'll take a quick look just to see if I'm still addicted. This especially rings true after 3 weeks of abstinence. And by that time, your brain is almost completely rewired. The third is to understand that you are not weak. You don't have an addictive personality. Get rid of this kind of like self-hate and this kind of brainwashing where you think you got addicted and you are addicted because you're like just you lack discipline or something like that. That's the wrong way to look at it, because actually when it comes to this kind of addiction, trying like really hard to stop kind of makes it harder. You just kind of stop. The reason you do it at all is just because like there's this little monster inside of you that craves a nut. That's something the author talks about a lot, a little monster. And really what it is just, you feed the monster so it stops making a fit, but you're still feeding the monster and you're still growing, you know what I'm saying? So you just gotta starve that MF. It's really like not hard at all chemically. There's no serious withdrawal. The withdrawal lasts like 5 days, and it's just mental. There's no physical withdrawal. Chemically, it's not a hard addiction to kick. The reason it seems to be hard is because you're tricked into like this biological thinking where you have to nut and you have like an innate desire where you get horned up every once in a while, and your expression of that is the hub. But once you realize that, or once you internalize that the hub doesn't satiate this desire or give you any pleasure whatsoever, you should pretty easily kick it from your life. So there you go. Now you got that information. All you got to do is decide that you're done, and don't doubt your decision. Be happy about it. Anytime in the future you think about your decision or you think about the idea of whacking off at all, tell yourself one of these affirmations. I am free from the slavery of PMO or the hub, and beating PMO gets easier every day. Just repeat these things whenever you think about it, and then immediately stop thinking about it. Be happy that you're done. Because you are.